Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second half of Comic Book Cove. I'm Tom Morris.
And I'm Josh Holderbaum.
And Josh, recap. Why did we have to split this up into two parts?
Because Tom gives me very large stacks of comic books to read. And as it turns out, we can't discuss them all in the allotted time.
I could do some creative editing, but when it came right down to it, I'd rather split this down into two parts. One that would aired yesterday on Friday and today on Saturday. And it keeps our sanity. At least it keeps Josh's sanity when I give him 13 comics and I expect him to rattle everything off in a little under a half an hour. Just isn't possible. So this episode, we are going to cover Harley Quinn #1, Suicide Squad Rebirth #1. Then we go to Nightwing Rebirth #1, and then Nightwing #1 and 2, and then we finish off with Batman #3 and Batman #4. Josh, anything to say once we get through the second half of the episode?
This was a good lot of comments, and we got a lot of good discussion out of it. So it's a good thing we split it in two.
Yes.
Because it would be way too much to take in all at once.
So now that we've told you which titles we're going to discuss, sit back and relax and enjoy the second half of Comic Book Cove #5. Nightwing Rebirth #1. Dick Grayson is shown taking care of loose ends in different parts of the world. He takes Damian Wayne to an arcade to talk about what has recently happened in his life. He has received a tool from Midnighter that allows him to take an explosive out of Damian's skull that the Parliament of Owls implanted. In the labyrinth, Talon is speaking to the Parliament and is killed by a mysterious person. Dick Grayson talks to Batman about going deep undercover into the Owls as Nightwing. He's back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in blue.
Mm-hmm.
And he has no collar. I am extremely happy. But in all seriousness, it's nice to have Nightwing Dick Grayson back into the Bat family.
Yeah. Having him as just Grayson through the New 52, Agent Grayson, if you will, that didn't do it for me. I mean, he'd established a career for himself as his own costume character, and then to take that away, it didn't rub me the right way.
Yes. Neither did what little I read about Nightwing, and then he went to Grayson and was going under Spiral. Just wasn't. It isn't what Dick Grayson is about. He is the partner of Batman. He is the first Robin, the first one that really is accepted universally from the superhero community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only right that he comes back as Nightwing. What do you make of Damian Wayne's relationship with Dick Grayson? I thought it was cool that they were at the arcade and Dick Grayson was just talking and they were bonding in a way. As much as you can bond with Damian Wayne.
Yeah, who's a pretty odd little kid anyway. But it seems like he would be the only other real member of the Wayne family that Damian respects. I mean, aside from Batman, I always kind of got the feeling that Damian and Tim didn't get along that well.
No.
Maybe because they're closer in age, but that Dick sort of has this older brother relationship to him.
I thought it was funny that they were talking and Damian said, well, my dad will never take me to the arcade. Well, don't tell him about it. And they were talking about what's happened in his life. And there's a comfort level that Dick Grayson has with Damian, and then you see him gallivanting across the globe to take care of these loose ends, which was kind of cool because it was closing up the chapter of the life and bringing him back to the Batcave, getting this, I guess in the New 52, that one of the reasons why Dick Grayson had to serve under the Parliament of Owls was because they blackmailed him. They took away his identity. They planted an explosive in Damian Wayne's skull, and he was forced into serving them. But that's not the case anymore. He's taking care of that. And now he goes undercover because he wants to take out the organization from within.
Mm-hmm. And he's doing it as Nightwing, which sort of tells the organization, I'm doing it on my own terms.
One thing that a lot of people might not know, and they bring it up in the comic book, was the name Nightwing isn't because of Batman, it's because of Superman and a Kryptonian story that they used to tell about rebirth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and when Superman used to go into the bottle city of Kandor, he would lose his powers. and because he didn't want Superman to be known as a superhero there, he would dress up as Nightwing. And then he usually always had a sidekick, which I think was usually Jimmy Olsen, I think, and he would sometimes call him Flamebird.
Yes.
So it would be Nightwing and Flamebird together, and supposedly those were characters from like Kryptonian mythology or something. But that was a neat, and he did kind of have a similar symbol to the old, the really classic Nightwing costume.
Yes, that was cool that they brought that up, of kind of covering who Dick Grayson is and where he's going.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think is this mysterious person that took out Talon?
I don't know. I mean, the Parliament of Owls seems to bring in new characters and then kill them off pretty rapidly, from what I read in the New 52, because there have already been a few different Talons, and now maybe they're going with somebody else other than a Talon at this point.
Yes. One final observation: Cheese Viking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right up there with Killicorn as my two favorite new terms from this issue. It's really hard to choose, but we need to know what Cheese Viking is. I mean, what is that video game? Is it an RPG? Is it a fighter? Is the Viking made out of cheese? Does he hunt for cheese? DC, we need to know what this game is and why Damien likes it so much.
Yes, so can you please make a little game on your website, Cheese Viking, so we can experience what Damian Wayne gets all excited for, and why his dad knows that I got to send him to arcade anytime I need a serious talk. Cheese Viking, please. Nightwing #1, Better Than Batman Part 1. Nightwing is in deep cover pretending to be an agent for the Parliament of Owls. He's ordered by the Owls to team with an outlaw named Raptor. He goes back to Gotham to talk to Bruce and see Barbara Gordon. Nightwing encounters Raptor. They fight, and Raptor bests Nightwing. Raptor tells Nightwing that everything Batman taught you is wrong. Yeah. How can you tell someone that's been trained by Batman that everything you've been taught is wrong?
Well, I mean, in Raptor's defense, he did just beat Dick Grayson in a fight, a pretty fair, straight fight, so he does kind of have the chance to say whatever he wants to him.
Yes. This Raptor character, well, first let's at the beginning. We do see Dick Grayson, Nightwing, going undercover, going to different locations and thwarting plots that were taking care. Were these people members of the Parliament of Owls that he was protecting?
It looked like it was people the Parliament had an interest in, and it was interesting to see him, because initially I was kind of worried that, Dick is going undercover in a criminal organization and he'd be doing criminal acts, but here he is basically doing vigilantism with, the added sort of intimidation factor, because he whispers, the Parliament is watching in the ears of everyone who he deals with. So I'm not sure if they're Parliament members or just people the Parliament is interested in. Maybe other people looking to, they're looking to blackmail, just like they did with Dick.
That's true, because it is an organization with a secret society organization with a lot of people in high places within society.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool that, not cool, but it was interesting that Dick went back to Gotham after he went on these assignments to try to get Batman's permission, when Batman told him, I trust you, whatever you do, you know what you're doing, you make your own decisions.
Yeah, he's almost like, why are you talking to me about this?
Yes.
I mean, it's at this point, I think Batman has kind of accepted Dick as independent. I mean, Dick is he's his own hero.
Yes.
And he's not really, he's still a part of the Bat family, but Batman doesn't need to oversee him.
No.
He has that level of trust in him.
Exactly. And then we do get to see another bonding moment where Damian gets to play another game of Cheese Viking.
Mm-hmm. Looks like that was going to be on the Bat computer too.
Yes.
So it must be installed on the Bat computer.
Maybe he hacked it and put it on the Bat computer.
Yeah.
What did you make of Talon?
He seems like an interesting character now. It's interesting you use the term outlaw, because it might seem we get someone who walks a more blurred line, maybe, than just good guy and bad guy. I kind of initially thought, well, they'd the Parliament would just team up Nightwing with the villain, and that would be more of a adversarial relationship. But he does also tell Dick that everything Batman taught you is wrong, which intends that Raptor intends to teach him. He wants to take him under his wing. He's probably not going to be a nice guy about it, but
no,
he at least wants to do that.
And no issue would be complete, or no Nightwing story would be complete with him and Barbara Gordon. It was only a matter of time before those two clicked again, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
They have a dynamic. It's cool to see Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon because they are the two oldest members of the Bat family, and they do have a relationship, and I wonder if she'll get more involved as the issues go on.
Mm-hmm. And they can't quite figure out if a date is actually a date where they're meeting up as superheroes or they're meeting up to go on a date.
Yes, but they do have their costumes just in case it turns to be one or the other.
Yeah, that's lucky for them, yeah.
Nightwing number 2, Better Than Batman Part 2. The issue begins with a Robin and Batman flashback. Raptor and Nightwing set aside their differences to go on an assignment for the Owls. Batgirl is in Tokyo and wants to meet up with Nightwing if he is close by. Raptor and Nightwing encounter Cobra operatives on a boat. They find out Cobra was trafficking refugees, and that their mission was to take the refugees from Cobra so that the Owls can use them. They receive another mission. Nightwing wants to cut out, but Raptor convinces him to stay because, like Nightwing, Raptor is playing the long game. And at the end, Nightwing and Raptor go on to their next mission. We know that there is an ulterior motive for what Raptor is wanting to do.
Yeah. It'll be interesting seeing what his goal is, because right now, I really kind of feel that he's like the closest character we have to like a rogue, a straight rogue.
Yes.
Sort of like the type we have in Star Wars. A guy like, could be like Han Solo, could be like Boba Fett. They might not necessarily be good or evil, but we haven't figured that out yet. One of the really interesting things is in this, Raptor calls his little arm gauntlet thing Suyolak. And when I read that, it bugged me that it sounded kind of familiar. I know I read a lot about folklore and mythology and stuff, so I looked it up, and Suyolak is a character from Gypsy folklore, and he's a wizard who knows a cure for everything. And in this, Suyolak acts sort of like his utility belt. He comes up with he has, shark attractor?
Yes.
Which he uses on one of the Cobra operatives. He has all sorts of little gadgets in there. But in Gypsy folklore, Suyolak is a wizard who's chained to a rock. And if he's ever unchained, he'll destroy the world.
Okay.
So that could be an interesting parallel for where Raptor's going. Because when they say he plays the long game, it's kind of ambiguous. Is he intending to take out the Owls? Does he have a goal like Nightwing? Does he want revenge on them for something? Or does he want to establish himself in a higher position in the Parliament? Does he want to be in a position like Talon was? So
Wow.
it'll be interesting to see what that's all about.
That's very interesting. I was not aware of all that.
Yeah.
He did say, this has an answer for everything, because an issue ago, when he was at the very beginning, he took out someone and he held the gauntlet right up to their head. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when Nightwing asked, well, what is this? And, oh, by the way, this is... I really like that. That is very interesting.
Yeah. It sort of establishes him as being sort of a Batman type character, because it is kind of his utility belt, and even having the shark attractor is sort of like a parody of the old shark repellent from the old 60s Batman show.
That's very true. And also, we got another plot point of Batgirl is in Tokyo. She wants to meet up with Nightwing, but he can't get away. It's almost like he stood her up, because at first when they found out the human trafficking, he was ready to quit. He was ready to just forget about everything that was going on and not be undercover anymore and move on. But Talon convinced him, hey, I saw it in your face. I knew that you didn't like this, but if you really need to strike a blow, you need to take this further. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it made sense to Nightwing.
And in his defense, he was in a different country than her.
Yes.
Kind of hard to meet up for a date if you're not in the same country.
Well, if anyone is possible, it'd be Nightwing.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got an added layer of depth to Talon, which I think is pretty good. And I think the whole Better Than Batman storyline is going to live up to that big title.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we'll wrap this up. We'll be discussing Batman. And we'll also be discussing a squad and a lady that you've probably seen on the big screen. I'm talking about the Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn. So we'll be right back.